Estimados invitados presentes, la Universidad de Talca, en constante desarrollo de su tercera misión, que es vincularse con el entorno, está realizando una serie de actividades y proyectos que lo acercan a empresas e instituciones en Chile y en el extranjero. En este marco, el Consejo Universidad Empresa de la Facultad de Ingeniería de esta Casa de Estudios gestionó con el Centro de Excelencia Internacional Telefónica, Investigación y Desarrollo Chile, en alianza con la Universidad del Desarrollo, el fórum denominado Excelencia Global, Desafíos de Innovación e Investigación para la Industria Chilena.
Estimadas autoridades, estimados invitados, los saludos ya fueron dados con los vocativos iniciales, no los quiero repetir. Quiero entregarles a ustedes un saludo muy cordial de nuestro rector, doctor Álvaro Rojas Marín, quien desea una fructífera sesión de esta tarde en este encuentro bastante importante para nosotros, en particular como facultad. Quisiera señalar brevemente que la Universidad de Talca asume este desafío de implementar la tercera misión, fortaleciendo y desarrollando actividades que vinculen la universidad con el entorno empresarial del público y privado de la zona y del país. Esto significa un desafío no menor, porque implica cambios profundos, tanto desde la academia como desde el sector productivo. Y nosotros hemos asumido el rol de incorporar esta tercera misión creando centros tecnológicos y también este Consejo Universidad de Empresa, que tiene como particularidad que atrae a la universidad a ejecutivos, directores, emprendedores de las empresas del sector público y privado. De esa forma, nosotros podemos acoger las necesidades del entorno, decodificarlas y hacerlas propias en dos de las tareas fundamentales de la facultad: el desarrollo de tecnología propia al servicio de las demandas de la sociedad y, en segundo lugar, modificar la formación de nuestros estudiantes para que aprendan ya desde una temprana etapa de formación la vinculación con su entorno desde el punto de vista de la ingeniería.
Uno de los grandes desafíos que tenemos en el desarrollo futuro de nuestro país es unir a la academia con el mundo de la empresa para desarrollar investigación aplicada, para desarrollar productos de alto contenido tecnológico. El futuro del mundo es tecnología, para generar un círculo virtuoso que nos permita, en definitiva, hacer de la investigación aplicada una inversión que sea valorada, que sea visualizada por el sector privado de tal manera de transformar esta inversión en I+D como parte de la cadena de valor de los negocios.
A continuación, queremos presentar a nuestro orador, invitado el doctor Christopher Tang de la Anderson School of Management de la Universidad de Los Ángeles, California, UCLA.
Thank you very much. Good evening. First, thank you very much for Angelo's wonderful presentation. When Ernesto invited me to speak in Santiago, I was thinking that, well, what can I talk about? Then they said, well, why don't you talk about innovative business models? Then I said, well, but I'm not from Chile. But I can learn about this as academics. So this evening, I'm going to share with you what I've learned, and also that's maybe something that is relevant to you. So I'm going to start with that in terms of research and innovations. In terms of research, I try to change topics, my research interests, every 5 to 6 years. So for the last 5 years, I work on farmers' welfare research related to farming, agricultural economics. So this evening, I'm so delighted to meet Angelo, because that's what he's doing now is exactly what I'm doing research on. So this is a really wonderful opportunity for me to meet. And I think this forum is not for me to share with you, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the university professors, for the students, for the private sectors, and for the government to interact, to talk about how different sectors can work together to actually transform the Chilean industry. So I hope that you see my presentation is a catalyst to stimulate the discussion. Yeah? Okay. In terms of Chile, there are many, many wonderful news to share about Chile. In terms of economic growth, depends how you compare. Among all the Latin American markets, you are in terms of economic growth, is still the best. But relative to some other countries, there's still some room for improvement. Then in terms of the GDP per capita, now it actually has improved up to 22,000 US dollars, but the GDP growth is slowing down. Then the question is what can Chilean industry can do in terms to stimulate the economic growth. Next one, if you think about in terms of doing business, how easy to do business in Chile? Well, you're not the best, but you're not the worst. In terms of the easiest country to do business would be Singapore, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and so forth. Chile is ranked number 47, but you are much better than China. China is around 80, and Vietnam is 190. I'll come back to that to relate to that. Then in terms of farmers' welfare, because I study a little bit more on agricultural economics, I look at the income inequality, because I like to see that is any way technology can help the poor people to improve the living standards, right? So Gini index is 0.5, but surprising to me, the Gini index in Chile is higher than all the highest developed economies. For all the developed economies, the number one is Hong Kong, number two is Singapore, number three is United States. But Chile is actually higher than all these three. So that means that in Chile, there's a big gap between the rich and the poor. So I think that is something for the public sectors and the private sectors to think about, is there any way to actually improve the livelihood of some of the Chileans, all right? Now, I look at some studies. For some reasons, there are a lot of studies comparing Chile with Australia. I think part of the reason is that both countries think, oh, we're so far away from the rest of the world, so maybe we're comparable, right? So, but in this particular case, is actually in terms of GDP per person, there's still around 40% gap, but Chile is the rate is increasing, maybe it's catching up, but there's still a gap. But then in terms of research, in terms of public sectors sponsored research, business sectors research, and universities, in Chile, relative to Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, a lot of research focused still on more the traditional research and not much on the direct related to business research. So that is something I think that the engineering school, the science faculty, and the business school can work together to actually to do something that will help the business to do better and also maybe create more jobs. So I think this is something that could create a win-win situations for the whole economy. Now, let me use one example. So I find these reports issued by the Chilean government on the wine industry. Actually, the growth is fantastic. Now that I was in Shanghai 2 weeks ago, so I don't have a lot of money, so I can only order a bottle of the Casiello di Diablo, all right? Now, in Chile, I checked the price is a few thousand pesos, right? But in China, $100 in the hotel, US dollars. Because in China, Chilean wine is good wine. So I think that is a golden opportunity because the branding of Chilean products is very good. So there are a lot of companies, but the major market right now is the UK and United States in terms of exports, partly because of the free trade agreement between USA and Chile. Now, but in terms of research, it's quite interesting. The report talks about what type of research the government sponsor and also the wineries sponsor. Most of the research you look at, they focus on pest disease control, plants breeding, propagation, biotechnology, plant psychology, and production management. Most of the research is based on production, how to produce better wine, how to produce more. But very little to talk about how to market the products, how to sell more, right? Producing more is one thing. If you cannot sell more, what will happen? Your price will drop because you overproduce. You overproduce, but you don't sell. It's about supply and demand. If you increase the supply, you have to make sure you also get the demand to go up such that your price will stay up. Does it make sense? So I think this was a good news for me because I work in business school. I don't know any others, but I do marketing and sales. It's okay, maybe this is something I can talk about. So it seems that this is a little incident to report that the focus is still more on the science without thinking about how to market and sell. We need both. Without the good production, you cannot sell. But with the good production, you still need to figure out how to sell at a better price, right? So this is something we have to think about. All right. So I try to look in terms of different reports. There's a report on the Nationality Innovation for Competitiveness of Chile. So basically, they talk about in terms of a general framework that Chileans, by and large, they're more risk averse. Well, the question, is it true? It's not clear to me. It turns out if I investigate more, it's because most of the industries are controlled by a few companies. So therefore, there's really not much to do besides working for these few companies. I share with you some examples. And then they talk about in order for Chile or Latin America to become more competitive, they said education is very important. But that surprised to me because many of my colleagues from Chile, they're well-trained, they're very talented. So what more do they need to improve education? Actually, what I learned is that they would like the younger generation to change the culture, to become more taking risks, willing to try new things, willing to innovate. So I think that is what the government think that this is needed in order for Chile to become more competitive. And the second one is that, well, maybe there's a opportunity for private sectors and technology sectors to work together with SMEs. I'm going to use this word quite often. It stands for small and medium-sized companies, small, medium-sized enterprises, to actually work together to grow. So basically, I think that is a very good idea because for Chile, in terms of the basic industries, you're doing extremely well for agriculture, mining, but to lift the GDP for the growth, for the per capita, you need to consider new industry, new technology, new ideas, right? So I hope that's something we can discuss later on. So this is a survey report in the World Bank in 2014. They think that in terms of a lot of time, the Latin Americans, they need more different type of education, all right? So this morning, I was reading newspaper. No, I was not reading. It's my partner's reading newspaper in Mercurial. Then he said, wow, they talk about innovation. They said, well, what did they say? So he translated for me. So basically, this panel was reported in newspaper today. They talk about the first one. They talk about in terms of, they think Latin Americans, they're more risk averse. They need to change the culture. And then the last one, they think about the Chilean government should not use subsidy. They actually need to figure out in terms of a way to encourage people to start new ideas, start new business, even for a small one. Let them to start a small one and let them try, okay? So let them to create a bigger business, all right? So that's one. So knowing that, to summarize what I've learned, so basically it seems that the reports from the Chilean government and also this external panel seems to suggest that a lot of Chileans, they're afraid to take risk, and then they're afraid to fail, right? Now, but that is a problem. For entrepreneurship, for startups, if you never fail, you never succeed. Take Steve Jobs. You have your iPhone, your iPad. Steve Jobs failed many times. He came back. He tried different products. He tried different services until he came up with the iPod, with the iTunes. That's the first time he actually succeeded, right? He has a lot of Apple computers failed because you have to start learning. If you never fail, you never learn. You say, well, I'm always number one. How can you learn, right? Everyone learns from me. I can never learn from anyone. Sometimes you need to be number 2, number 3, number 4. It's okay, okay? So give you the opportunity, challenge to become better. So I would say that actually good news for Chile. You're not the best, not the worst. Somewhere in the middle, that means that there's always room to improve. So there's always room to learn, to innovate. If you're number one, that's finito. right? So actually, it's good news, right? So look at the other one. Well, is Chile that really risk averse? Not clear to me, because if you look at some industries, it's controlled by a few companies. Retailing, favelas, Sanguisur, and really control 86% of the market. This is reported in today's newspaper in the Mercurio. Telecom, Telefonica, Caro, Intel, WM control 100% of the market. Wine, control Toro, and others control 60%, right? So that's why that you control everything. Then it's, well, as a Chileans, what else can you do? You work for these few companies, right? Unless you do something different. You're small. Then the question is if you're small, can you do something? And a lot of times, they also don't have financial support. They don't have the backing, all right? Then the question, as a result, when you have no money, you're not big enough, you don't have economy scales, how can you compete with big companies? Not possible, right? Agree? Not possible. But it is possible. But you do it differently. You have to do things that the big companies will not do, but you do it differently. So I'll show you a few examples. It is possible. Not possible is in our head. Everything is possible, right? So basically, that is possible. So I'm going to talk about some few companies that we learn from Asia, and hopefully that stimulate the discussion about innovative ideas. All right, so I'm going to use these three examples from different regions. The first one is from Hong Kong. That's where I was born. And there is a company called Li & Fung. It's the largest company in the trading company in the world. Everything they bet on, everything on your body, something is go through them. I'll show you later on. They use it. Hong Kong is easy to do business, and they have a supply chain platform for making products, mostly making products. The second one is China. China is ranked number 84. It's more difficult to do business than Chile. Chile is ranked number 47, right? So, but this is an online platform. It's Alibaba. But look, Alibaba started small. They become big. They're selling products in Chile. How come Chile is not selling online in China? It's possible, right? They don't even speak Spanish. No problem. Online, yes? They can use Google Translate, right? No problem, right? So the next one is Vietnam. Vietnam is even more difficult. Their GDP is less than $2,000. Yours, $22,000. They're much poorer than you, okay? But they share you this company started by a refugee. Was from Vietnam to America with $2 US. And he created a business, was sold to Expedia, the online searching for airfare, for $2 billion. But that's only the beginning, not the end. Then he returned to Vietnam to do something even bigger. I share with you, with $2, okay? So that means when you have no money, you can't be clever to do something, right? So it's possible. So what are the common themes? So one is they do making in Hong Kong. The second one, Alibaba for selling. The third one's for mobile finance. They use a mobile phone for financing, for lending, for borrowing, and for payroll deduction, right? So the common theme is that they started very small, very cheap. They have no money. But then they start local, they go global, all right? Second one is that they don't do everything themselves. Not possible. They have no resource compared to big companies, not possible. But what they can do is that they leverage each small company to do little things. But together is power, poder. So learn that word, right? So basically, that is, you don't have to do everything yourself. If you don't do everything yourself, you can share the work, you can share the risk, you can share the reward. But together can be big. So you don't, that's how small companies become big. If you do everything yourself, it's too risky. And you don't have to, right? So that is something we have to keep in mind. Yes, in Chile, maybe there's some small companies, they're small. But if they can utilize the talents of other groups to work together, it become big, all right? I'll show you some examples. And the last one, they all have exponential growth, all right? So I'm going to share with you three examples. First one, Li & Fung. Li & Fung design and source, they produce all the products for you. They're global. They're also in Santiago. Their office in Santiago. So basically, the slogan is that we make anything possible. If you can tell me what you want, I can produce for you. Anything. So would be like Starbucks, coffees, all the furniture is made by Li & Fung, sourced by Li & Fung. McDonald's, all the furniture, lightings is also sourced by Li & Fung. So the customers include Walmart, Body Shop, H&M, right across the street, Zara, some of the products is actually produced by Li & Fung, all right? So they are everywhere. I'll show you a video in a minute. The second one is that for a product, they don't do everything. Actually, they don't own any factories. But basically, they know who can do what well. They said that if you wanted this jacket, I can produce for you. But I don't own anything. He knows how to make the zippers. He knows how to make the goods down. He knows how to make the fabrics. Then I have a factory, can put them together. But I am the agent to do everything for you, right? So basically, that's what they do. So in the sense that is, they try to do everything for you without owning anything. They only have the offices, but they're global, all right? So basically, they are asset light. They don't own any factory. And also, they leverage small companies that can do different things. They put them together to produce everything for you, all right? So basically, I show you some statistics. They have no factories. They're from local to global. It's a Hong Kong company, but they're global. I show you the video. Growth, revenue from 2 billion to 20 billion, 10 times in 12 years. Not bad. They create values. They have end-to-end solutions. He said, whatever you can describe, not even design, we design for you. If you can describe it, I can do it for you. Also, they leverage the supply network. And the latest one is actually, now they're in negotiation with David Beckham for the product. Okay, you can see this company, they don't own anything. They own the office, try to describe what you need. They can actually produce everything for you. That is a beauty, right? So right now, we'll be like David Beckham. David Beckham right now, sell his own underwear line in H&M, right? But he wants to become big. So who is going to design? Who is going to produce the products for him? Li & Fung can do it, right? That's why every year I visit Li & Fung, now they have a new tagline. We make anything possible, right? So this is the first one. Now, so this is a very powerful network model. They don't own anything. So is anyone can compete with them? Now they become big. From small, become big. Yes, it's possible. The next one, part 2, Revere. So part 2 is Alibaba. Alibaba is going to start a different platform to compete with Li & Fung. That's how they started. Alibaba started as an online B2B platform, is to try to link the buyers with the sellers, the suppliers with the buyers together using online, because they don't have the network, because it takes a long time to build, right? So basically, Alibaba started to use a B2B platform to actually link up the people who need the products and people who can produce the products online. That's how they started. Then once they started that, they said, oh, now I know who can produce what. Why not we ask those factories to produce a product, sell to consumers? Then they started to B2C, to customers, to Tmall. It's the largest online retailer in China, all right? And then say, wow, now people are not used to buying products on our platform. Why not, if they have the product they don't want, they can sell to each other, C2C, customer to customer. That is the eBay equivalent, and they beat eBay in China. Then later on, they said, well, they have a lot of transactions online. Why not we capture that too? That's why they come up with Alipay. Alipay is an online mobile payment system. It captures 80% of the transactions in China. All right. Then that's not the end. He said, now you know how to produce your product, but you need to market, right? He said, don't worry. With Alibaba, now I introduce Alimama. Alimama can help you to do online marketing, on website, web page or optimization, all this, they have that, all right? So last year, they had the biggest IPO in history, raised $25 billion. And this year alone, one day, only one day, it's like a Black Friday, they sold $14.3 billion of merchandise in one day. Now, bear in mind, they don't own anything. They don't own any of the products. They only create a platform for people to buy and sell. But then they have the online payment, they make the money. That is a fantastic model because that's, you're flexible. They can go to any market, anywhere, anytime, right? No assets. Like Lian Feng, no assets. This one, no assets, right? That's why they can sell in Chile. They were trying to sell in the US as well, right? So I think that that is a very interesting idea. All right, so give you this example. Basically, they create a platform. They don't own anything. So the sellers are any vendors, any merchants. They put the merchants on the online platform. And then the logistic partners, they can click online. The customers sell online. They have a logistic partners. And then you pay online using Alipay, right? Then in terms of they partner with social media for the product reviews, in terms of whether you like the product, you don't like the products. Everything is online. And then on top of that, they use the platform Tmall to help these merchants to sell the products, Taobao for C2C. So basically, they come up with everything. Now they can get into more cloud computing. And the last one is basically they capture the entire market. Now, the Alipay is now going to be a very important service in China because now that in Uber in China, in order for them to succeed, they had to use Alipay. Same thing for all the share ride services. So that is a very powerful platform. Again, they use asset light, and also they leverage what different small companies can do to put them together as a platform, such that it become big, right? So that is very powerful. So again, the growth rate is 65% on every year, and the profits, the blue column is over 3 billion. The revenue is over 6 billion, and that's on the end. Today in the newspaper, Jack Ma, Mission Impossible, today's newspaper, he's want to get into media, okay, like entertainment, movies. So he would like to become the next Netflix or movie star, right? Because he has a platform. So in that case, basically this is a very powerful platform because it's on your phone, on your computer, right? So that is where the first gateway for you to buy things, to see things, to buy things, so everything, right? So that is very powerful. All right, third one. So you think that's difficult? Let's go to a smaller country, Vietnam. It's even difficult to do business. The country is much more corrupt and not easy. All right. So this is fellow. I wrote the case, and so now it's published in Harvard Business School, and basically talk about in terms of how these entrepreneurs. He started with $2 as a refugee in the United States, starting the company and sold it to Expedia for $2 billion. Then he returned to Vietnam. He returned to Vietnam to start a new company. All right. This company is even bigger. He's not looking for $2 billion. He's looking for multi-billion dollars, all right? So again, he wants to go global, all right? So let me explain, what does this company do? First, he observed the market is the right market. The population is 90 million, much larger than Chile, but a lot of people, they live in the rural area because the geography of Vietnam and Chile, they're similar. It's long strip, all right? So, but also that's in terms of GDP per capita, is very low. You are 24,000, this is only 1,400. But they have a lot of people that have need. They need to financial services. But then the question is, the banks are not there. There are no banks, very few banks. Why there are no banks there? Because it's not profitable. If they're profitable, they would be already been there. He said, that's an opportunity. Because the bank is not there, very few banks, and also only very few people have credit cards because they have no credit history. They don't make a lot of money, but they have need. The poor people that have needs, they need to borrow money. But then in Vietnam, how do you borrow money? If you have no credit rating, no assets, no collaterals, you cannot borrow money. You can borrow from the black market. The black market is around 40 to 50% interest rate. Not possible. So that's why the people have the need to say, I can solve their problems. So there's great opportunity. He's using the mobile network. In the penetration rate in Vietnam is 134%. How come it's more than 130%? Because many people, they have two phones. One for work, one for personal. Yes, that's why they have more than 100%. And they use the mobile phones for mobile payments, all right? It has turned out the mobile payments can be magic, all right? This is how it worked. So basically, you look at the geography of Vietnam, it's like a long strip, like Chile, and salary is very low. That's why now, under the signing agreements of the TPP, my colleague and I wrote the article in Fortune magazine, Felipe Caro is here. We talk about in terms of the partnership of the TPP, which Chile is one of the members, and Vietnam is one of the members, right? So now China is actually, they already started being proactive. They're shifting the production to Vietnam. So in the future, if you buy the products, it's actually not really making China, it will be making Vietnam because they want to reduce tax, right, the import tax. Right. So for MobiV, what can they do? All right, so this is how they work. For the poor employees, no money, no dinero. He needs the money. How can he borrow the money, right? Well, and you don't know the person. How does it work? All right, no problem. What MobiV does is the following. He works with the employer, your boss. He said, okay, Angelo needs another $100 until the next paycheck, right? He needs to borrow $100. But I know he's a good employee, right? So how about this? I let him to borrow up to 50% of his next paycheck, okay? So in that case, the next paycheck, I will automatically deduct from it. Then in order to do the accounting, don't worry, I do the payroll for you. So you don't need to do anything. Everything on the mobile phone, all right? So in that case, it's automatically linked to employees, employers. Then now you borrow the money. Because you need money because you need to buy things, right? So don't worry, I go to the merchants, I talk with them. They can sell you Conchi Toro, some wine, some beer, some food, and all this. You can do that. Online platform. They can, MobiV provide the e-commerce platform. You can order online, mobile phone too, no problem. Automatic deduct from your paycheck. Even taxi, no problem. And then the banks also involved, all right? And then also the partner with telecom, which is Viettel is the largest telecom in Vietnam, right? So basically, he has the entire ecosystem, entire network. Again, he doesn't own anything. Notice that? Basically, he doesn't own anything. He just leverages everything to work together. So as a result, he can provide cash advancement because if you have credit cards, if you want to use credit cards to use cash advancement, it's very expensive. That's what we never do, too expensive. Do you borrow against a paycheck? Payroll deduction, because I need to deduct it from your salary. The next one is also mobile online purchase from the customers. So basically, everybody win and he take the commission. Every single transaction, he take the commissions. That's how he make money. So he built the online and the mobile platform. That's it. All the rest, he doesn't own, right? Okay, so how does it work now? Okay, so basically, even better, he has his own ATM machine at the employer. If you need more money, no problem, no problem. You just use the card. So basically, he's a bank. So right now would be like this one. This is a picture from Esquel. It's one of the factory. Esquel is the largest cotton shirt manufacturers in the world. If you buy some of the Nike Gant, the brand, is made by them. In this factory, over 4,000, they use this one. And the agreements between the employees and because you deduct your paycheck. So the employer is not responsible. It's just deduct the next paycheck. The kiosk can give you cash and cash transfer, and also you can buy the top-up card, the SIM card. Then also that you can also have O2O. That means that you can order the products online, and then they can deliver offline. Okay, there's now O2O systems. And then the good values. The value to employees, good price of products, and low interest rate, because they charge 7% when you borrow against the money. Second is the value to employers, and now they use it as an employee benefit. The employer likes that. They say, wow, now I can use this as advertised. If you work for me, it's actually you have the MobiV as a benefit. So a lot of employees like that as well. So basically that they can actually provide the payroll service. So I asked him one time, he said, oh, if that's the case, you are just like American Express. Are you going to sell your business to American Express or Visa? He said, no, I am American Express. Okay, so that's very good. So basically, you look at the growth, again, it's exponential growth in terms of millions of dollars. And this is the latest. The revenue is $70 million. The company is only a few years old. Employee basically have 330 employers sign up. Over 600,000 employees sign up for the service. And major partners would be like as well, Nike, Adidas, Puma, and whatnot. And they get $50 million financial backing for the funding for the next phase. So from Sumitomo, Japan, and Experian. And then now they're already in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Thailand. Next one, India and Sri Lanka. Why? Because his business model is scalable. Because he doesn't own anything. He only needs to set up the office, talk to employees, employers, merchants, and all this. Then can use the platform to do the same thing in other countries. Does that make sense? So this is fantastic model, right? So let me just summarize, okay? If you think about in terms of what this field business model to do, is basically they use our crowdsourcing in a broader sense, to crowdsourcing from a network. And then the other companies do exactly the same thing. Uber. Uber, again, is a platform that links the passengers and the drivers. And then Airbnb and Waze. Many people love Waze, right? Again, it's a social media navigation system. Fantastic system, right? So what are the opportunities for Chile? I think that you can think about a lot of ideas for the SMEs, for the small, medium-sized companies. If someone can come together to build a platform to link these small companies together, they can work together, they can share the work, they can share the risk, and they can share the reward. Then, in the case, the risk they're taking is not that big. Because right now, if they go by themselves, go solo, it's too risky, right? But you work together, it's much less risk, right? So then the question is that, what if they have no money? No problem. There's a crowdfunding, okay? If no money, you can still start to ask for money. It turns out that in Chile, COFO is actually sponsoring some crowdfunding activities, all right? So they can help them to create this kind of business. For example, what is crowdfunding? There's one element is that you can start the business by selling the share of the company to the investors. You have the idea, but you offer shares to the investors buy the shares, and everyone wins if you make money. And the crowdfunding also charge usually 5%. So everybody wins, right? So if you look at, in terms of money, around the world, it's already raised over $5.1 billion to fund over 1 million startups. But it's very small in Chile. I'll explain to you later on. So basically, the first 3 companies, the well-known one, they're all online platform. And now they try to move into the mobile platform as well. In Chile, one of the first one is Bruta.com, is sponsored by COFO, all right? So basically, you look at the map, where are they located? They're all around the world. Chile, there's one, Uno, as of, I think, 2012, right? So basically, there's one company called Indiegogo. I found it at the airport, in Houston airport, or on the way to Santiago, Los Angeles, Houston to Santiago. So this is a product funded by Indiegogo, which is crowdfunding. So this product is they call cat speaker. You wear the speaker, but then on top of that has 2 lights. So like the cat woman when you wear it, right? So basically, we sell it at the Brookstone, at the airports and all the nationwide the chain, right? So this is an idea someone started, and then Indiegogo is used crowdfunding. They sponsor this company, right? That's how it gets started, right? So it's possible. Okay, in Chile, basically in Chile, they raised, it's located in Las Condes, they raised 1 billion Chilean pesos, but up to this point, there are only 11 startups. So I look at the startup companies, some are better than others. So I think that they may need maybe business schools to work together, help them to improve the business models. Now, but the crowdfunding is not new. Actually, well, of course, US is biased. They claim that they started that. In 1884, the Statue of Liberty, France gave the gift to Statue of Liberty in the United States in 1884. But then United States need to build a pedestal for the statue to sit on top of it. They ran out of money. So they need to raise $100,000. But then in this case, they publish a request of the crowdfunding in the newspaper. And then they got 125,000 people to contribute the money to build the pedestal for the Statue of Liberty in the United States in 1884. I was not sure about the story. I checked the Wikipedia of Statue of Liberty. It turns out it was true. All right. So, okay. So let me just wrap this up. So basically, what we learned from all this presentation, there's a pattern. The pattern is that when you have in a business environment, when is the many industry captured by a few companies, you cannot compete with them heads-on. Not possible. In order to win, you have to do something differently. You have to do something differently is basically that you have to leverage different people to do different things, and then you work together. Then in the case, use crowdfunding to get the money, to share the risk, work together to share the work, and then if everybody wins, share the reward. So in that case, the risk is much lower. So I would say that I do not believe Chilean is that risk averse. The question is that they are not seeing the reward. If they feel that the risk is smaller and the reward is also reasonable, they will do it, right? So I think that is something we have to keep in mind. So on this note, I want to thank Ernesto for inviting me today, and then all my friends, Professor Carol, Sebastian Edwards, because of course he's well-known in Chile. I said, well, you have to give me something about Chile. So basically, he gave me some information. My students from LATAM, and Sergio, and I graduated from UCLA. He's now at PUC Chile. And my partner, Richard Piccolo, he helped me with the Spanish, reading the newspaper. So on this note, I want to thank all of you, and I hope that you found these ideas relevant and stimulate your thoughts in terms of how we can engage the university, the private sectors, and the public sector to work together to make Chile a more exciting place to do business. Thank you.
Damos inicio a la intervención del foro panel con la intervención del señor Eduardo Vitrán, vicepresidente ejecutivo de Corfo.
Can I use some slides that I have here?
Okay.
I think that will. Well, I am not so sure that your business models are appropriate for a country like Chile, because at least two of the ones that you show are in the B2C, B2B business, internet, and to be successful there, you have to have very quickly a critical mass of clients. And the ones that were started from Hong Kong, you know that they are looking immediately to the Chinese market. And they have a critical mass of supplier, of manufacturers. It's very easy, you know, to pinpoint opportunities to do at a very low cost manufacturing in that place. But also you have a big mass of consumers, the Chinese market. The only case that you brought my argument into problems is the case of Vietnam, because it's a smaller economy. But still, it's quite large in terms of number of people. But you have to look at the Southeast Asian market, you know, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and all, even Thailand. And this is much easier to do business among these countries that sometimes is easier to do business among Latin American countries. You could say, why not Chile, you know, having the Latin American country, and we built in the internet business, you know, some cases. Very difficult. We have a lot of protectionism among the countries. The biggest one is Brazil. But it's very difficult to make business with Brazil. You know, the transaction cost to do business through the frontier is very high. Then our focus has not been to push in terms of focus that type of business. We have two types of programs. We have the kind of Startup Chile programs where we promote, or the incubators, the business incubators, where we promote any kind of business. We promote entrepreneurship. And the way we promote entrepreneurship is, first of all, yeah, we do provide subsidies, but at the very early stage, in the seed phase, there is no market for the seed phase. There are more than one crowdfunding company. We have supported not only the one that you mentioned, but also Cumplo is another crowdfunding company that we have supported. But still, at that very early stage, the risk is huge, and the information asymmetry is enormous. Then probably it's difficult to get funding. Then we have a policy where we say we have a kind of a funnel. We have a funnel, and we plant many seeds every year. And we have been increasing the number of seeds that we plant, that's seed capital, that go through a network of incubators. Now we have co-work space all over the country, from Arica to Punta Arenas. We have a network of mentors, 1,000 mentors, providing support and networking and advice. And we have angel networks. Through all these schemes, we try to channel government money at the very early stage. And then we have become one of the countries in the emerging world where we have an interesting deal flow. But we have problems in the scale-up phase. After the incubation, when you have to get private money, usually venture capital, because loan financing or debt finance is not available, still the risk is too high, and the market for banking too concentrated, and they have not developed the skills, not have the interest to develop the capabilities to serve that market. Then we are trying to promote venture capital. We have been in this business since 1996, 97, when we launched the first venture capital fund, private, but with money from Corfo. What happened? Well, the money went to private equity, the money went to late-stage venture capital, and there is a big gap in the early phase. Coming out of the debt valley, where the entrepreneurs need a lot of money to grow very quickly, to create critical mass in that place, in that area, we have problems. Then we launched a new schemes to attract venture capitalists to play in that area. But still, that's neutral, and we try to promote, anything that come out. We try to link with the universities. We have finance TTOs from the universities in order to promote spin-outs with the intention to generate new business. There is not enough capabilities, then we are having a model that has been tested in other countries, which is hubs of TTOs in order to have better capability, more networking, more market outreach. All of that is happening and is being implemented. But we believe that we have to focus a little bit more. And it's not the same, the kind of thing that we should be doing. Then I will show very quickly, and I will pass through several things. Then we have neutral programs to promote entrepreneurship, innovation, financing. But now we have a new kind of policies that we call programs or initiative of smart specialization, copying the Europeans in that regard. And there, we have done an approach where we bring together groups from the academia, business, civil society, workers, to work together in defining in key areas collaborative action, because cooperation, social capital is very critical in order to be successful on this. And then we say, what are the kind of technology trends that we believe that are critical, and Chile should be part of this revolution. And we believe there are a few, but there is one that is going to change everything. And this is industrial internet. Internet of Things, mechatronics applied to production. And when you talk in Germany about what is the new thing, is they call Industry 4.0. And everybody's looking at how to apply Internet of Things to automotive. We don't have the automotive industry in Chile. Then the question is, if this, as General Electric is saying here, is going to be pervasive and it's going to be all over changing the production landscape. In the Harvard Business Review in October last year, Michael Porter wrote an article with an MIT professor saying how a strategy will be changed with Internet of Things applied to production. And the article is quite interesting because the countries and the companies that don't take this into consideration are going to be in big trouble. Then the strategy that we are following is how we become leaders in the application of industrial internet in the areas like mining, fruit production, salmon production, to start with. And if we develop the capabilities, the common technology, the platforms, interoperability, will allow us to apply that technology all over in any other area. And then that's our strategy. Of course, key here is this kind of technology. Big data is behind this. Then we have to also invest in the infrastructure that allows us to work with big data. And then we are applying this to different sectors. In particular, this is the picture I want to show. We are starting here in mining. We are starting in mining. And the issue is, okay, how we go about? Well, first of all, we have the challenge to change our mining. We are the main mining district of the world, the main copper district of the world. And the issue is that you have to create the platform to have interoperability, to be able to communicate machines with machines, that any supplier of equipment will plug into this platform. But what is the mode where we are now today? Each big provider comes with their own proprietary scheme and wants to sell and to lock in the technology and not having an open and competitive space for open innovation. Then the first thing we have to do in order to succeed in this strategy is to be able to create for mining what has been done in health. For example, last week, we have the people from the US, from HIMSS. It's the leading non-profit organization that have developed the standards for the US, but now being adopted by the European community for interoperability in health technology and e-health. Without that, you will have a jungle where any animal wouldn't be able to communicate with the other animal. And as they have been doing that, and we're working with them to do that in health, we have to do the same thing in mining. We have to work in fruit production, salmon production, even in smart cities, because we have the project to start working to control energy consumption in the streets from the municipalities. But we found out very quickly that each municipality that was trying to enter into this area was playing with a different standard. Then how they are going to communicate in the Santiago area, 40 municipalities, each one with their own standard. Then there is a role for the government. We have to create a common standard. And then we could have a system of open innovation to work to enhance the quality of life in the cities. Then, if we are able, around industrial internet, Internet of Things and mechatronic, to create an open and common platform for innovation, for open innovation, applied to the sectors where Chile is a leader worldwide, like the ones that I mentioned. We export 50% of the fruit of season of the world. We export 35% of the copper of the world. We are the second exporter of salmon, and have big problems in terms of having a sound sanitary scheme that could be solved with the use of this technology. Then there, we have the critical mass that we don't have in the big consumer sector in order to be in the frontier and to create many new business, technology-oriented, that will be able to succeed in the global world.
So I totally agree, and Eduardo mentioned that Chile is fostering the entrepreneurship environment through very specific instruments like Startup Chile and other programs that are going to help on that idea to improve the competition by fostering entrepreneurship. I think it's the right way to go. Now, having said that, we have an economy that is highly based on exports, and our exports, as Eduardo said, are mainly copper and fruits and other products from agriculture. So we have to solve the major problem that you highlight in your presentation, which is competitiveness, which is productivity. Human cost, human labor has gone up significantly. That's why we grew from $2,500 GDP per capita to $25,000. So if we look at our export, our basic products, our raw materials, if we go to the agriculture side, is products that have high labor, human intervention, high labor cost. So labor cost in the agriculture side and fruits raise up to 70% of the total cost. So that is a huge challenge there. But I think that we stayed in a stage in our economy development that we haven't been able to cross the chasm from being a very efficient economy to a very sophisticated economy, as the World Economic Forum defines economies. And we were very successful in being very efficient. And to move to the next stage is very difficult because our culture is not prepared to take more risk, to fail, to invest in things that are not going to return anything, right? That you have to discover new ways of doing business. So I think that's our major challenge, and that's why I think the investment in general terms in R&D in Chile is so low. We are around 4% of our GDP investment in R&D, and it should be 2% or maybe 3 or 4. I mean, you look at countries like Israel, New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, and they are way above. And having said that, that 0.5, 0.4% is mostly almost 80 or 90% government-funded R&D. So that is managed primarily by universities and doing basic research. So the private sector is not there, and the more applied research is not there. So we haven't been able to create this system where you invest in R&D and gets money. I mean, there is a true investment, so it's a business. And that's what we are trying to do with our research and development facility, focus into more applied research. And we are doing partnerships like this one with Universidad de Talca, where we are going to probably do some more disruptive research with them. We use in our center agile methods for developing our products. So that tends to focus your research into agile research. So it's very tactical research, we would say, that is very, very focused into solving our problems. So, but I think it's a good showcase. We hope so. We hope to, and that's why I think Corfo is investing in our initiative to really try to build a business model that is feasible for other companies start doing the same thing. And the other thing that we are doing with IoT is to help build the open platforms that Eduardo was referring to. The IoT is a very, very good technology wave to facilitate the digital strategy from the existing companies, you know. Because in the future, if you don't have a digital strategy, you are not going to survive, right? So IoT is a very, it's going to change the world. I mean, it's going to affect every value chain. It's going to affect every business sector, and it's going to change many business models. So for us, there is a very good opportunity there. I'm coming back from Dubai. I was there attending the IoT forum from Cisco, which is a worldwide event. And I could look at, you know, the things that are doing companies that are far bigger than us, than ours. And we are at the frontier right now. So what we are doing is exactly the same or at the same level of advance that are doing global companies in the world. The case of GE is very interesting to look at what they are doing on IoT. But going back to the entrepreneurship thing, what we are doing with our ecosystems and with Universidad Talca also is we are using, creating platform services, IoT services, so every entrepreneur that today can or will or would like to start a new venture on IoT is going to be able to work and use this kind of services. So we are trying to help install in Chile capabilities for actually building new IoT companies or building IoT services. And I think I ran out of time, but if we have time later, we can discuss a little bit more on what we are doing specifically in IoT projects related to agriculture and mining. And also we are working on smart cities. Actually, this week, we are sharing with our board of directors our first minimum valuable products that are going to be commercialized starting probably second half of next year. So our first fruits are going to be released during this week. So we are very happy with that. So thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Hernán. Damos la oportunidad, el paso, para invitar al doctor Claudio Tenreiro Leiva, decano de la Facultad de Ingeniería y presidente del Consejo Universidad Empresa de la Universidad de Talca. Por favor, don Claudio.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
I will try to focus from our corner the problem of global excellence and what will be the challenges for innovation and research, actually to solve some of the problem or to give more opportunities to the Chilean industry. From our corner, what we have to do is to prepare new professionals, engineers, that are capable of being inserted in this global problem and global economy, and actually to become what they call world-class people, engineers in our case. Now, in order to accept this challenge, we have to change a lot of things, like the way how we train the people. Our students must be closer to the real-life problems as soon as possible, and also to be innovative in every possible way how they take the problems that we are using to train them. So that means that we have to introduce at a medium or as closer to the initial step of the training of the new engineers, how they can become innovative, which are the methods, which are the opportunities that they can see on whatever they are doing. I can give you an example that we learn about this. We create the smallest BlackBerry that was mechatronic. And what happened is after we create this with our students, we were not able to market this innovation within our country. And as soon as an international company saw this, they immediately captured the idea, captured the student, and all our effort ends in another country. What happened? The problem is that our professors, our researchers, they were not trained to create their own enterprise, their own company, and they were not trained to become innovative, not creating something that is new, but how to take from the innovation that is a result of the research to the market. So something was missing there. So from our corner, we took this challenge in how we can change this situation for the next generation. So that was one point, how we are teaching and training our students. The second one is we are a university in one particular area of the country with one problem that is basically agri-industry. Okay, but engineering is a lot more than agri-industry. So what we could do, and with the help of Corfo, we engage in a sort of alliance with two other universities that belong to other regions closer to ours with a wider set of problems and a different set of industries. So now our students can reach, for instance, forestry, tourism, and many other industries in the other regions that before we were competing with these universities. Now we are working together in order that all the students from the three regions can have access to the problems that are typical from the regions. So that will create more opportunities for the student to innovate under different circumstances. But also there is another thing, is the problems are driven by different topics. So they cannot solve, let's say an electronic engineer cannot solve the problem by itself. He has to join people from agriculture, he can join people from economy, from different point of view, so they can handle the problem and get the optimal solution. And also, something that was mentioned, once you create the solution, it has to go to the market. If the solution is created to become just a thesis that is in the library of the university, then every effort is lost. So we have to be able to connect the solution that is created at the university to the final end user of that solution. So that implies, let's say, a big modification on how we are doing our mission at the universities. This is not easy, because the university is one system, the private sector is another system, and all these systems must work together in order to achieve the final result, which is actually to give more solutions to the Chilean industry. So we modify many things at the universities, and we are in the process, and we hope whether we will succeed in to provide the new engineers to accept the challenge that we are listening today on how we can become more innovative to create value on what we are doing and how we approach the society and the problem of the society with the capacity that is inside the universities. It's not nice when we see that our work from the research is used by companies in other places of the world and not by our companies, not in our environment. Something is wrong. So that is our main effort in the next few years will be to solve this problem. We are on the way to do it. Actually, we are succeeding in incorporating private sector and in our, let's say, groups at the university, like in some research institutions inside the same faculty, or center for research inside the faculty, with the private sector inside them. So we will have a mix, our researchers going out to the industry and people from the industry going into the university as an environment to grow the solution for everyone. That's it.
Muchas gracias, doctor. Finalmente, invitamos a su intervención, señor Ronald Bowen Fernández, presidente de la Asociación de Exportadores de Fruta de Chile. ¿Bowen?
No, no es Bowen. Está bien.
Perfecto.
Well, thank you very much. In spite of my name, I'm going to speak in Spanish. So sorry about that. Nobody told me about that. I should do it in English. Do you mind? No problem? Bueno, la verdad que el tema de la investigación y la innovación en nuestro sector es algo permanente, es algo que es del día a día, y el día a día cuando uno mira hacia el futuro también lo es, o sea, es algo del pasado, presente y futuro permanentemente. Estamos en un ambiente tremendamente cambiante, en un ambiente altamente competitivo. Basta ver qué es lo que pasa en los elementos relacionados con nuestra competencia, con distintos países que compiten con llegar a ser algo parecido a Chile y evidentemente con una gran ventaja. Conocen de nuestra historia, de nuestros errores y lo hacen mejor a veces muchos de ellos. Por lo tanto, es algo bastante complejo. Las variaciones que tienen no solamente los mercados, sino que también la economía, el tipo de cambio, a nosotros es algo que evoluciona de una manera bastante fluctuante, por decirlo así, y nos complica la existencia. Por lo tanto, siempre tenemos una visión de buscar anticiparnos a los hechos, a lo que viene en materias de nuevas variedades, a lo que viene en términos de qué es lo que está pasando en los mercados, buscando nuevos mercados, alianzas estratégicas, no solamente desde el punto de vista de la industria como tal, sino que fundamentalmente cada uno de los actores. Chile es un actor internacionalmente reconocido, no solamente por el hecho de vender fruta, sino que también porque sus actores son profesionalmente tremendamente capaces y han sido capaces de realizar actividades algunas veces con éxito, menos éxito, pero enfrentando realidades distintas y siendo bastante agresivos muchas veces. Nosotros tenemos productores, exportadores chilenos que trabajan no solamente en Estados Unidos, o sea, con inversiones en Estados Unidos, pero también que ahí es más bien del punto de vista comercial, del mercadeo, pero con actividades frutícolas en México, en Rumanía, en Argentina, en Uruguay, en Perú. En Perú hemos sido prácticamente los chilenos los que primeros emprendieron en Perú actividades con espárragos, frutas, etcétera, etcétera. Ahora, ¿qué es lo que hacemos fundamentalmente? Aparte de tratar de hacer las cosas que sabemos hacer, manejarlas por nuestra propia cuenta, sin depender de terceros, es tener una actitud propositiva, de anticipación, de trabajar en forma conjunta con la autoridad, tanto la academia como la autoridad, y ahí Me gustaría agradecer a la Universidad de Talca por la invitación y también por las cosas que hemos hecho en conjunto, y también a Corfo, por supuesto. Yo creo que Eduardo ha sido nos hemos encontrado en muchas ocasiones y fundamentalmente en temas de innovación, ¿ya? Hace poco hablábamos respecto a qué es lo que pasa en temas tan importantes como es la capacitación y que lo que son las actividades relacionadas con la calificación de la gente. Eduardo ha sido un innovador en esa materia y nosotros también. Ahora, ¿qué es lo que qué marca nuestra actividad? Nuestra actividad, aparte de lo que he dicho anteriormente, tiene que haber en la industria al menos una suerte de definición estratégica global que la enmarque, independiente que algunos la sigan como socios, otros no, yo creo que la mayoría lo hace, pero por lo menos tener una suerte de visión global, a qué es lo que queremos llegar, qué es lo que queremos hacer y fundamentalmente cómo lo queremos hacer. Y eso es una definición estratégica que, independiente de que la estrategia es evidentemente inicialmente abrir los mercados, etcétera, etcétera, es un tema fundamentalmente de sustentabilidad. ¿Cómo la industria se puede proyectar en términos sustentables? Y en ese sentido, nosotros tenemos 3 elementos que son fundamentales y que lo hemos tratado que lo usen nuestra gente. Fundamentalmente está el tema de la inocuidad alimentaria, que es un tema absolutamente vital, el tema de lo que es la protección del medio ambiente y lo que es la responsabilidad social empresarial, ¿ya? Tanto a nivel de lo que es la persona, o sea, nuestros trabajadores, y lo que es el consumidor. Y en ese sentido también hay 3 elementos que son transversales a que no pueden ser, que son también indivisibles del punto de vista de que nuestro foco es la persona, definitivamente. Creemos de que ese es el factor fundamental que define muchas cosas dentro de la industria. Cualquier error en este ciclo, que es absolutamente continuo, ¿ya? De una sola persona, puede producir una catástrofe. En segundo término, para nosotros es muy importante el tema de la innovación, de lo que es el desarrollo, innovación, investigación. También es un elemento absolutamente transversal a todo lo que hacemos. ¿Por qué razón? Porque es absolutamente necesario desde el punto de vista no solamente de productividad, sino que también de nuevas variedades, etcétera, etcétera. Hemos formado la Fundación para el Desarrollo Frutícola ya hace casi 20 años. Con Eduardo fuimos parte también de los inicios de un consorcio de frutícola destinado fundamentalmente, y yo creo que esa es una de las grandes innovaciones de los gobiernos últimos, que ha sido fundamentalmente la posibilidad de hacer investigación con una visión de largo plazo. Antes era prácticamente todo hecho en términos anuales. Hoy, a través de los consorcios tecnológicos, podemos pensar en actividades de investigación real, nuevas variedades a 10 años. Y eso es un avance muy, muy importante. Y creo que Eduardo también fue un factor importante en esa, por lo menos fue un actor, y lo sigue siendo, yo creo también. Así es. Bueno, y el otro elemento, y a propósito del consorcio, y con esto, ¿cómo vamos hoy?
Muy bien, muy bien.
El otro elemento que es transversal, aparte de las personas, la investigación y desarrollo, y lo que es la conexión con la comunidad. Eso es un elemento también fundamental. Nosotros creemos en muchos de los elementos que se dicen, pero a veces no se practican, como es el tema de la regionalización. Estamos presentes prácticamente en 7 distintas regiones, pero también muy comprometidos con la realidad de... Un ejemplo, para ser más concretos, en el Consorcio Tecnológico de la Fruta trabajamos 5 especies. Una de ellas fue elegida específicamente por su rol en comunidades de bajos ingresos y comunidades que necesitaban y necesitan todavía progresar desde el punto de vista de no solamente producir, sino que también poder exportar. Y por lo tanto elegimos la frambuesa. Ya después de 3, 4 años tenemos 3 variedades que van a ser y van a ser plantadas por comunidades pertenecientes a Campo Cop, que es una comunidad, es una entidad que representa a grupos étnicos de la zona de Temuco y que tiene una disponibilidad que vamos seguramente a plantar unas 100 hectáreas seguramente de prueba el próximo año con el objeto de que ellas se puedan integrar a algo que es necesario, o sea, no solamente desde el punto de vista comercial, sino que también desde el punto de vista de lo que es social y lo que nos interesa, digamos, desde el punto de vista de no solamente la propia sustentabilidad, sino que la sustentabilidad del país, que a lo mejor es más importante que la nuestra.
Muchas gracias. Un aplauso, por favor. Y un aplauso, por favor, para todos nuestros invitados por sus intervenciones. A continuación, tenemos un espacio de preguntas para interactuar con nuestros panelistas. Tenemos micrófono, ¿cierto? ¿Por ahí? ¿Hay una pregunta, por favor?
Buenas tardes. Ahí está ya. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Francisco Martínez, de la Universidad Félix Santa María. Y quiero tomar las palabras de don Eduardo, que me parece muy acertado el foco que le está dando Corfo y el gobierno en general a las tecnologías y con el foco que está tomando. Pero tengo una preocupación, y es que por el lado de la universidad tenemos 2 programas con financiamiento de Corfo, que son torneos de emprendimiento, también con el apoyo Telefónica, que estamos trabajando junto con ustedes, y me ha llamado la atención de que tenemos un problema de convocatoria de emprendedores, de empresas jóvenes que se interesen en propuestas como las que tenemos. Tenemos un programa con Metrogas para industria inteligente, tenemos otro programa que también es más abierto, de industria inteligente, con desafíos en minería, en fruticultura, que en la teoría, desde la universidad pensábamos que esto iba a tener mucha convocatoria, que estaba resolviendo la brecha que nosotros veíamos, y también la Universidad de Talca y muchas otras universidades, también Corfo, pero extrañamente hemos visto que la demanda más que nada, la respuesta de emprendedores y empresas ha sido muy pobre, muy lenta. Entonces, mi pregunta es, ¿cómo podemos generar una promoción respecto de las industrias inteligentes para los emprendedores y para esta gran masa que estamos buscando que puedan resolver los desafíos que tenemos?
Ok. ¿Recogemos o vamos respondiendo de inmediato?
¿Inmediatamente?
De inmediato. Yo tengo varias preocupaciones, no solo la que tú mencionas. Y el tema es el siguiente. Nosotros, en la posibilidad de subirnos a esta revolución tecnológica con esta visión de aplicarla en aquellas industrias en que Chile es grande a nivel mundial y por lo tanto tenemos masa crítica, lo cual nos permite desarrollar negocios que puedan ser viables y rentabilizar también el esfuerzo de investigación y desarrollo, porque podemos tener un impacto en productividad enorme. Tenemos muchas brechas. En primer lugar, tenemos brechas de capital humano, en capital humano avanzado. Tenemos esas brechas especialmente en el mundo privado. O sea, no es posible pensar que nosotros nos vamos a insertar adecuadamente en estos desafíos tecnológicos de frontera si no tenemos suficiente capital humano, por ejemplo, con competencias en Big Data. Y hoy día son escasísimos. Entonces, cuando tú estás mencionando que Corfo está haciendo una estrategia que involucra distintos ámbitos. Por el lado de la oferta de capital humano, estamos tratando de trabajar con las universidades, en Ingeniería 2030, la Universidad de Talca, la Universidad Santa María y otras, para tratar de inducirlos a que vayan modificando los planes de estudio, incluso el perfil de los profesionales que forman, las áreas en que forman para responder mejor a las necesidades del mercado. Pero eso toma tiempo, eso no ocurre en forma inmediata. Y en el mundo de las empresas hay tenemos este programa estratégico que se llama Industrias Inteligentes, y una de las primeras brechas que identificó la industria es capital humano avanzado. capital humano para trabajar en estos ámbitos. Entonces, no me sorprende que tú tengas dificultades cuando por el lado de incentivar el emprendimiento dinámico, nosotros pasamos de un programa simplemente de capital semilla a un esquema donde decimos, mire, vamos a hacer torneos de emprendimiento, donde en una cierta área tecnológica específica que creemos que es fundamental para el país, vamos a tratar de generar una profundidad tecnológica en aquellos emprendedores que están en esos ámbitos. Tú haces la convocatoria y te encuentras que hay un desierto, es decir, muy pocos emprendedores en este ámbito que creemos que es fundamental para el futuro del país. Y no me extraña. Entonces, ¿cuál es la conclusión? Que no hay una bala de plata, que es necesario trabajar en distintos ámbitos simultáneamente. Hay que promover programas de investigación aplicado en que el foco sea, por ejemplo, preocuparse cómo vamos a ser exportadores y productores de fruta, que va a utilizar energía solar y que va a hacer un manejo y gestión del agua sumamente eficiente con el Internet of Things, con aplicación. Vamos a tener lo que se llama una industria frutícola inteligente basada en energías renovables a propósito del acuerdo de COP21 y que vamos a estar además certificando esto en términos de traza de carbono, traza de agua, inocuidad, etc. ¿Cómo vamos a estar en eso? Si hoy día tú quieres decir cuántos emprendedores tecnológicos o empresas tienen capacidad para meterse en ese ámbito en Chile, poquísimas. Entonces tenemos que trabajar todos esos ámbitos simultáneamente y esperar que de tanto transmitir y de generar los incentivos en las ONG, País Digital, por ejemplo, está trabajando con nosotros, crear centros como el de Telefónica I+D, que le dijimos, mira, orientémonos con foco. Cuando empezamos a conversar, queríamos enfocarnos en 3 ámbitos para generar masa crítica, para generar resultados. Esto no va a ocurrir de un día para otro, pero por lo menos tenemos una visión compartida entre actores del sector privado que están en la frontera, que están mirando para dónde va el mundo y que tenemos que hacer un esfuerzo de actualizar y de renovar y de insertar nuestros sectores productivos claves en estas tendencias tecnológicas que van a ser disruptivas. Y el que no se suba, se cae y no se va a recuperar. Pero tenemos que trabajar en la universidad, tenemos que trabajar en la formación en todos los niveles, tenemos que trabajar en la formación del emprendimiento, en crear estas plataformas abiertas, interoperables, para que haya esquemas de innovación abiertos, en generar los estímulos a la demanda de los innovadores, en generar mecanismos de estímulo para que las empresas hagan actualización tecnológica, expandir el crédito tributario que hoy día se utiliza todavía insuficientemente, es decir, múltiples acciones, pero empezamos a tener una visión compartida de dónde están las grandes oportunidades.
Y si pudiera complementar yo tu respuesta, Eduardo, yo diría que en el intertanto, porque tenemos una brecha y claramente que tenemos que cerrar de alguna forma porque lamentablemente el mundo no nos va a esperar. ¿Ah? Yo creo que tenemos que abrirnos al mundo. Yo creo que Chile hoy día, para muchos latinoamericanos, para mucha gente...
Traer capital humano.
Claro, traer capital humano.
Sí,
claro.
de acuerdo.
De hecho, eso es lo que hicimos nosotros.
Estar a Chile hace eso.
Nosotros,
claro,
de las 5 o 6 profesiones más importantes que teníamos que contratar, no había ninguna universidad que los preparara como tal. Y empezamos a tener dificultades porque lo que hicimos nosotros fue llevar y pedirle a Investigación y Desarrollo de Telefónica en España, que tiene 25 años de experiencia haciendo esto, que nos ayudara a acreditar las personas que queríamos contratar, a certificar su competencia. Y no empezó a ir mal. O sea, cuando los programadores, nosotros, la primera ronda de nosotros hoy día tenemos 30 programadores en el centro, 25, un poco. Los primeros 10 que contratamos, o que quisimos contratar, abrimos un concurso aquí en Chile, trajimos 200 programadores, los entrevistamos, seleccionamos 10 y los llevamos a España. Y llegaron a España y ninguno pasó. Lo primero que hicieron fue, les hicieron una prueba, un test. Súper simple el test. Tenía 2 preguntas. Le mostraban un pedazo de código y le preguntaban qué es lo que hacía ese código. Y la segunda pregunta, le mostraban otro pedazo de código y le decían cómo se podía optimizar ese código. Y no pasó ninguno. Entonces nos dimos cuenta que estábamos equivocando el proceso. Entonces, lo primero que hacíamos era hacerles la prueba y después los entrevistábamos. Pero aparte de eso, abrimos a través de las redes sociales, LinkedIn y otros, los concursos a nivel latinoamericano. Y hoy día tenemos uruguayo, peruano, venezolano, nuestra gerente de técnicas de proyectos es guatemalteca.
Pero es lamentable lo que tú estás diciendo, hombre.
Pero
tenemos escuelas de ingeniería, ¿y cuántos años se van a demorar en adaptarse a las demandas del mercado? Tenemos un diagnóstico desde cuando lanzamos el programa de servicios globales, donde la brecha de capital humano era evidente. No podíamos atraer más empresas a Chile a pesar de que querían venir porque no había el capital humano. ¿Cuántos años nos vamos a demorar en adaptar la oferta? Marcela Angulo, que tú eres la gerente del área, tarea, el programa de Ingeniería 2030 tiene que acercarse a industrias inteligentes y tiene que hacer un análisis y una reflexión colectiva de cómo va a adaptar su currículum y la cantidad de profesionales que produce para poder llegar a cumplir las necesidades del mercado. Yo les quiero dar un ejemplo. El caso de Everis, que lo instalamos en el año 2009 en Temuco, 230 profesionales en el área de factoría de software, 30% profesionales mapuche. Y hoy día dicen que queremos ir a crear un hub en el área de Internet of Things aplicado a temas de gobierno. ¿Por qué? Porque la UFRO es una universidad que tenía un desarrollo en estas áreas. Pero no habían los 1000 y tantos profesionales disponibles los próximos 3-4 años. ¿Y qué es lo que hicimos? Un acuerdo entre la Universidad de Talca, la Universidad del Biobío y la Universidad UFRO, que además es el grupo de Ingeniería 2030 y que ya acordaron currículum transferible y que la gente se pueda mover entre las universidades. Y esa es la respuesta que le pudimos dar a estos inversionistas que decidieron transferir desde Brasil una enorme capacidad para crear en unos 5 años 1.500 probablemente entre los servicios indirectos profesionales con el mismo compromiso, 30% población mapuche. Pero eso es un ejemplo que confirma que tenemos un problema. Simplemente esto hay que extenderlo muchísimo más porque efectivamente la tercera misión de la universidad, el primer requisito es formar capital humano de acuerdo a las necesidades de nuestro sector productivo.
Una de las cosas que ustedes pueden hacer es acercarse a los problemas. Hoy día hay formas de invitar a los innovadores, a los emprendedores, a resolver problemas concretos y muchas veces muy complejos a través de los desafíos, como lo que está haciendo la Universidad Santa María con Metrogras, ¿ya? Donde uno identifica un problema y lanza un desafío.
Así es.
Desafíos en electrónica, en Internet de las Cosas, hay muchísimos. Nosotros acabamos de lanzar un desafío para trabajar la identificación y el poder contabilizar de mejor forma la polilla esta, la aloesia botrana, que la forma en como que se hace hoy día es súper manual, las trampas son súper caras y no necesariamente las trampas es la forma adecuada de resolver el problema. Pero en sensores, por ejemplo, nosotros vamos a lanzar un desafío, hoy día hay un montón de, siguiendo los temas de agricultura, los sensores de humedad son súper caros, las estaciones meteorológicas son súper caras. Entonces nosotros necesitamos hacer realidad lo que hizo el Economist hace un año atrás, que puso un campesino tradicional sembrando sensores. Los sensores tienen que ser así de baratos, desechables. Hoy día un sensor de riego, humedad de varias profundidades cuesta, ¿cuánto cuesta? ¿$200, $300?
Es carísimo.
Una profundidad.
Una profundidad. Una estación meteorológica cuesta $1000.
par de miles de
Entonces, lo que tenemos que hacer es que esas cosas cuesten una potencia menos, por lo menos, la 10ª parte.
Y que estén conectados, además.
Claro.
Yo vengo de Arica y los productores me dicen, tengo lleno de estaciones meteorológicas, pero ninguna tengo acceso.
Claro,
No
claro.
tengo banda ancha.
Exacto.
Tienen que estar en
Bueno,
la nube.
y ahí estamos tratando de resolver ese problema también.
Ah,
Pero hay un
claro.
montón de desafíos. Entonces, no hay nada más que motive a una comunidad de emprendimientos innovadores cuando uno le plantea un problema claro a resolver y le da algún estímulo. Y hay que abrir los concursos a nivel internacional. O sea, Startup Chile es el mejor ejemplo. Cuando quisimos traer emprendedores y generar una cultura de emprendimiento, Startup Chile fue un programa mágico que no solamente es reconocido a nivel mundial, sino que yo creo que nos cambió la cara en el emprendimiento. Yo creo que generó una cultura, un mood, como dicen los gringos, una sensación térmica en torno al emprendimiento distinto. Y acá tenemos que hacer lo mismo. Y en la industria, en fruta, en minería, hay un montón de problemas que no están resueltos, pero un montón de problemas, y problemas graves, problemas importantes, digamos.
Tenemos-
No, es que para complementar y hacer una analogía por las cosas conectadas, pero también yo creo, y por la experiencia que estamos teniendo en los torneos de emprendimiento, también hay que tener personas conectadas, instituciones conectadas, colaboración. Yo creo que el éxito de esto pasa por la colaboración. Entonces, ya también haciendo un comercial, invito a la IE para que también trabaje con nosotros. Van a tener muchos emprendedores y ese conocimiento que tienen es muy importante para poder hacer las cosas. No vamos a lograr nada trabajando en islas. Son desafíos grandes, pero también hay que tener una colaboración grande para poder resolverlo. Así que a todos los que me están escuchando como comercial, también los invito al 6 y 7 de enero a la universidad que vamos a tener el Booster Up de Industria Inteligente.
Muchas gracias. Por favor, por acá.
I have a question for Dr. Tang. And so it's clear that we have a challenge in terms of, the formation and the education of advanced human capital engineers and scientists. So my question is regarding the experience in the United States with the STEM coalition, the STEM education coalition, and the STEM that is it's for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the United States has said, President Obama recently gave a big support to expand this initiative. I don't know if you are aware with that, how the universities and the engineering schools are linked to the STEM education, not only at the university, but also at college, secondary schools, or even in the primary schools.
This one, I'm not too familiar with that, but I do know that many schools is going to change the way they teach. Instead of the traditional read and write and testing, they now would like the students to engage in more projects, open concepts. So for example, I was very touched by one of the school projects, the way they teach chemistry. When I was learning chemistry, is organic chemistry or inorganic chemistry. With carbon, it's organic. With mineral, it's inorganic. But for this school, they don't teach chemistry that way. The teacher gave the students a glass of liquid. He said that you go and find out whether this liquid is poisonous or not. That was the project. No chemistry. Then the student will have to learn what is poisonous. Then they said, well, they discovered the different types of poisons to your skin, to your internal organ, and other different things. And then they found out that how do you test whether it is poisonous or not. Throughout the entire 3 months, they learned a lot about chemistry. Then they learn how to do the test. So they want to change the way they teach. And also now would be like a lot of schools, they provide iPads. So students have a lot of information to the internet, and they have also talk about games, a part of the learning. So try to make school fun, not just in terms of creative learning as well. So come back to, I want to, at one point, in terms of Internet of Things, and I think it's very exciting. Many countries is looking for the solutions. GE is pretty big on that now. But my presentation was not just in terms of small companies, but I think even Telefonica, you could have spin-offs. For example, the Angelo's project talk about in terms of sensor in the field to test the humidity. Now that is a small project, but it can become big. It could be a potential spin-off in terms of do diagnostic check of the farming industry. But that is not limited to Chile. I understand maybe the trade barriers among countries, but service, the trade barriers much lower, especially using mobile or online platform.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to emphasize the point that is, in terms of growing business in Chile, in terms of agriculture, in terms of minerals, but I think you can leverage the human capital in Chile, the professors, the students, and Telefonica, all these companies, they work together. They come with that. So if they can provide this platform is only selling the agricultural services, not to any particular fruit. So it's agriculture. But that is, the scale is big. Could be in China, could be in any countries.
Yes.
Also, on top of that, they can leverage that platform, Valuable BV, to sell not just products, also service and also product. Suppose that my soil has some problems, I need some fertilizer. Online platform, one click away, you can have also nearby delivery. I need to, and also do diagnostic checks. So I want to use his example as a potential spin-off. So in the case, that one actually you can leapfrog. So it's not limited to any particular geographic regions. Because I heard that many, many times, oh, Chile is so far away, our business has to be local. I am not sure, because I think that with the technology, you can go global, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to keep that in mind. So come back to in terms of school, now actually a lot of students, they also want to use a different learning pedagogy so that to help the student become more innovative, more creative for the next generations.
Can I interact with Professor Tang? My comment was not that you are forced to be in the local economy, which is a very small country. The issue is, if you want to become really very competitive at the world level, where are you going to look for? Are you going to be in the B to C market where you don't have critical mass in terms of consumers? Or better you try to explore the B2B in areas where your country is world class. Because innovation happens when you have sophisticated demand, where you have complex problems. In certain areas, we have sophisticated demand, like mining, like fruit, like agriculture, like forestry. We are quite sophisticated. Sure. Then there is great opportunities to do innovation, initially thinking in the local market, but become global.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's, we see more opportunities there.
Yes.
Than just in areas where everybody is trying to mimic Silicon Valley.
Absolutely, we're in agreement.
Okay.
So basically the example I point out is B2B, you can go global.
Yes.
Is correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good.